equatorial region of the Sun, its rotation is faster, while in the polar region of the Sun, the speed of rotation is relatively slow. The Sun's equatorial region completes one cycle in about 25.6 days, while the north-south 60-degree region completes one cycle in about 30.9 days, while the actual polar region completes one cycle very slow in 36 days. Due to the difference in velocity of this orbit, the magnetic currents forming on the surface of the Sun, which are in north-south direction, seem to be constantly moving eastward horizontally in some equatorial regions. So with each round, these currents are wrapped around the entire surface of the Sun. The heterogeneous pairs of these coiled magnetic currents come close to each other after a while. The distance between their coils decreases. Of course, in these heterogeneous magnetic currents, when they come close to each other, a line huge attraction is created. This magnetic pull creates storm between these two currents. In this mode, the mass in the atmosphere is thrown like an arc over the surface from a large eruption in the direction of the magnetic force lines. These parts raised above the surface are less bright than other parts. Of course, on a brighter background, they look like spots. These solar spots at the base of these arches are always seen in pairs. The second layer of the Sun's atmosphere in the visual field is called the chromosphere. Its upper atmosphere is also called corona, which means sun crown. These sunbeams have temperatures of up to 20 million degrees Celsius. This energy keeps the sun's atmosphere constantly warm through the arcs and their events in the magnetic field that is constantly being thrown up from the achieve section. Solar crowns are formed from very high temperature solar crowns. The solar wind is made up of electrically charged particles and is thrown in all directions. Solar wind reaches far beyond the orbit of Pluto. The source of this solar wind is in the crown holes that appear in the crown. The solar wind is mainly blown out of these places. The craters appear to be in the form of low energy, low light, relatively black spots compared to other places in the Sun's atmosphere. In this place, the magnetic lines coming out of the Sun become arches and do not disappear into the Sun again. They go straight out and fly into space. The solar wind is formed from them. Solar prominence is the eruption of large amounts of hot gas clouds on the Sun. It is called solar flame. These flames, which are related to solar flares and are emits from hot gases, emit huge amounts of hot particles into space outside the Sun. Such huge flames emanating from the Sun's atmosphere are called coronal mass ejections, mass eruption from the crown. Here, a huge amount of mass is constantly being thrown rapidly out of the Sun. This charged particle, which is thrown out at a speed of about 402 kilometers per second. If it is thrown towards the earth, it hits the magnetic field around the earth. These collisions also affects the shape of the earth's magnetic field. They also cause disturbances in high voltage power lines on earth. Sometimes, under the pressure of these solar winds, the currents in an area is completely cut off and darkness spreads. So friends, this is last part of this series. Second series is Mercury.